טוב ומנעים שבדרכים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים שבדרכים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים שבדרכים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים שבדרכים גם יחד. How good it is,
How good it is,
how sweet it is,
how sweet it is
to be together on this day. How good it is,
how good it is,
how sweet it is,
how sweet it is
to be together on this day. Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. Shalom Aleichem, Salam Aleikum. Hinei ma tov umanayim shebedachim gam yachad. Hinei ma tov umanayim shebedachim gam yachad. Shebedachim gam yachad. Shebedachim gam yachad.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Well, we're a small crew tonight. I guess everybody was worried about ice. It's an Ask the Rabbi night, so if you have any burning questions, save them up. No science or math, please. And we will begin on page 9. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation. There are days when we act as if we cared nothing for the rights of others. On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal. So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. And at the bottom of page 10, we continue with Shabbat HaMalkah. To page 20 and 21 as we welcome in the Shabbat Kala with Lecha Dodi. We'll sing verses 1, 2, 5, and 9, and we'll rise when we come to the last verse and face the open doors to welcome in the Shabbat Kala. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Nikrat, Pini Pini Shabbat Nikabela, Lecha Dodi. Nikrat Shabbat, Pini Pini Shabbat, Nikabela, la la la
Shabbat la 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 Kadodi Likrakala B'nei B'nei Shabbat Nekabela Lekala Kadodi Likrakala B'nei B'nei Shabbat Nekabela Eternity
Page 26.
Yikada v'yikada shmei Rabba Yamadi barach hiruti v'yamlich machuti Echai echon aviyom echon Uv'chayedecho beit Yisrael Agalo izman kariv Ve'imru Amen Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach Le'olam olam Bechata b'shirata, b'chata b'lechem tamiram b'yama, v'meru, Amen.
We rise.
Et Adonai,
Et Adonai,
Baruch Adonai,
Baruch Adonai,
Mevorach,
Mevorach,
Leolam, Baruch Hu et Adonai, Mevorach, Baruch Hu et Adonai, Mevorach, Baruch Adonai Hamorach, Leolam Moed, Baruch Adonai Hamorach, Leolam Moed. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamevorach. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamevorach. Baruch Adonai Hamorach. Leolam Moed. Baruch Adonai Hamorach. Leolam Moed.
Page 30. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chochma poteach she'arim, uvitfuna mishane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Uma'avir yom umevi layla, umavdil ben yom uvein layla. Adonai tzavaot shemo, El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim.
Ahavat olam, it Yisrael, Amecha, Ahavta, Ahavat olam, it Yisrael. Yisrael.
Amen.
Shema Yisrael. Adonai Eloheinu. Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
Please be seated. Page 36.
V'yahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzabecha hayom alevavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha b'derech ושפחה ובקומך, וקשרתם להות ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Page 41. Sing the song of men and women joined in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come, the song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more, the song of a world redeemed, the song of peace.
Baruch atah Adonai Shmo Yisrael.
Amen. Page 42.
Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomereinu l'chaim. Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomereinu l'chaim. Ashkivenu Adonai Adonai, Afarei Sukkot Shalom Aleinu v'Yakol Amo Yisrael v'Al Yerushalayim.
Amen. Page 45. We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. We rise for tefillah on page 46.
Adonai, sifatai tiftachu v'yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, El HaGadol HaGibor Benoro, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim HaTovim, B'konei HaKol, B'zocher Chasdei Avot V'imahot, U'mevie Geula Libnei B'neiha, Leman Shemo B'yama, Melech Ozer Moshiach Magin, Baruch atah Adonai, Magin Avraham V'Yezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mechayei Metim atah Rab L'Hoshia, Mashiv HaRuach Morid HaGashem, Mechapel Chayim B'Chesed, Mechayei Metim B'Rachamim Rabim, Zomer Tovim B'Rofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Milchamocha B'Givorot, Umidol Melach, Melach Meimit Umechayem, U'Masmiach Yeshua, V'Ne'eman atah l'chayot metim, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei hametim. Atah kadosh Shimcha kadosh, Kadoshim b'cho yom yalu chasela, Baruch atah Adonai, HaKadosh.
Please be seated. We continue in the middle of page 54. Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, ritzei v'imnuchatenu.
Kadeshenu b'mitzvotecha, v'tenhakeinu b'toratecha, v'tenhakeinu b'toratecha, v'sabeinu mitovecha. Kadeshenu b'mitzvotecha, v'tenhakeinu b'toratecha, v'tenhakeinu b'toratecha, v'sabeinu mitovecha. Sabeinu, sabeinu mitovecha, v'samcheinu, v'samcheinu, v'samcheinu b'shuatecha. Kadeshenu b'mitzvotecha, v'tenhakeinu b'toratecha, v'tenhakeinu b'toratecha. Kadeshenu b'mitzvotecha, v'tenhakeinu b'toratecha, v'tenhakeinu b'toratecha. Kadeshenu b'mitzvotecha, v'tenhakeinu b'toratecha, v'tenhakeinu b'toratecha. Kadeshenu b'mitzvotecha, v'tenhakeinu b'toratecha, v'tenhakeinu
Page 57. Ever-present one, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer, wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands. You are our God, whom alone we serve in reverence.
Baruch atah Adonai,
Baruch hu baruch shemo.
shotachal levadecha b'yirah na'avod.
Amen.
Moedim אנחנו לך, שאתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו, אלוהי אבותינו ואימותינו, לעולם ועד, לעולם ועד. מודים אנחנו לך, שאתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו, אלוהי אבותינו ואימותינו, לעולם ועד, לעולם ועד. צור חיינו, מגן אישנו, אתה הוא לדור ודור. מודים אנחנו לך, שאתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו, אלוהי אבותינו ואימותינו, לעולם ועד, לעולם ועד. וכל החיים יודו חסר, וידעו את שמך באמת. ישועתנו ועזרתנו, סלום, סלום. מודים אנחנו לך, שאתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו, אלוהי אבותינו ואימותינו, לעולם ועד, לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, הטוב שמך, הטוב שמך, ולך נוהל להודות. Amen.
We continue on page 60 with Shalom Rav, our prayer for peace.
Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amacha, tasir le'olam akirota, u'melech adon zechol hashalom, zechol hashalom.
few moments now to pray or meditate in silence. Yishaberach for healing is on page 253. So everybody can hear me.
Mishaberach avotenu mikor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen.
Yishaberach avotenu v'imotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak v'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel v'Leah, hu yivarech et hacholim. We ask God's blessing upon those we love who are in need of healing. If anyone here or at home has the name of a loved one for whom our healing prayer might bring comfort, please share their name with us now. HaKadosh Baruch Hu yimalei rachamim aleihem, lahachalimam ulerapotam ulahachazikam, vayishlach lahem mehera refuah shlema min hashamayim, refuat hanefesh urefuat haguf, hashta be'agala uvizman kariv v'nomar. Amen.
Mishaberach imotenu mikor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Page 261. Yehi ratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu shetichadesh aleinu et hachodesh haba letova ve'livracha. Our God and God of our ancestors, may the new month bring us goodness and blessing. May we have long life, peace, prosperity, a life exalted by love of Torah and reverence for the divine. a life in which the longings of our hearts are fulfilled for good. Rosh Chodesh Nisan, Yehieh B'Yom Rishon. The new month of Nisan will begin on Saturday night. And it is Ask the Rabbi night. I'm going to answer Adrian's question first, which is, why did we stop? And the reason we stopped, Adrian, is because sometimes, for most of the service, we say all our prayers together, but at a certain point in the service, we all stop so we can all pray what's in our hearts to God, because we all have different things to say. So that's why we stopped. Okay, does anyone else have a question? Karen does, and then Lital does.
I have a question about the Siddur.
Okay.
Okay, I
Yes.
have to read my question.
Okay.
So please explain how the pages work in this Siddur, because it seems like we skip a lot that's on the pages. And then what are the Roman numerals at the top of the page for? There's a 1 and a 2.
Oh, okay. I got to take a look. No, that's okay. So the way the pages work, for those who, okay, hold on, is that the prayers are mostly, not always, in service ones, and in other parts of the Siddur, one prayer is on 2 folios, right? Right hand, Hebrew, English translation, pretty faithful. Left hand, 2 other, usually 1 or 2 other options that are more creative. So for service 1, Shabbat evening and Shabbat morning, they both work that way. Service 2 is a through service. It has no options on 2 pages. The prayers, you just go page to page to page. What was the, okay.
And why do you need options?
Why do you need options? Well, primarily, why do you need options is if you think back to Gates of Prayer, there were 10 different Friday night services and 6 different morning services for Shabbat, so that it was not the same every time. Because in our movement, we are creative liturgists. We write creative prayers. Mishkan Tefillah, doing it this way, just put all 10 into one, and we just pick and choose each week, mix things up so that it's not, even though it's keva, it's fixed prayer, we don't want it to become so fixed it's rote and doesn't have kavanah at all. So that's why. That's why it's Roman numeral 1 and Roman numeral 2. 1 is the options, 2 is through, not to mention it is much easier for a bar or bat mitzvah student to lead from service 2. We don't want to have to train them to go from here to there, that's why. So that helps too. That's a good question. Lital, did you have a question? I thought I saw your hand. Anybody else? Mary Ellen, I'm going to hand you the mic. Pass the mic around. I got to stay on screen, I think.
You sort of answered this question previously, not in
Okay.
a service, but in a meeting. But can you just elaborate on? You recently said that in Israel, the 3 continents come together, and can you just explain what that looks like? I mean, is that why there are so many birds? Is that why there are different types of birds? It's like, can you just explain the whole?
There's a great medieval map of the world that has Israel as the navel of the world, that it's the center, right? And yeah, Israel is actually part of Asia. Most people don't know that because they don't get to play in the Asian games because the Asians are not nice players. It is right next to Africa. As soon as you cross the Sinai, as soon as you cross the canal, you are in Africa. And then if you just head up north past Lebanon, you're in Turkey, and that is Europe. So it really is at the crossroads of all 3 continents there, which is part of the reason everybody wanted it. Everybody had to travel through there to get anywhere. It is also one of the largest bird migration spots in the world because of that. So birds that travel from Europe to Africa have to go through Israel. Birds that travel from Africa to Asia have to go through Israel. So where Lake Hula used to be, it's not really there anymore, is millions and millions of birds show up every year on their way out and on their way back. So it really is the crossroads of the world. And it makes you wonder if that wasn't, of course, the plan. If you think about the earliest civilizations, at least 2, Egyptian, Mesopotamian, all start there and then spread over into Europe to the rest of Asia. So yeah, okay, Follow up?
Yeah, that amazing answer. But I'm just wondering, so I know if there's ever a shift in the tectonic plates, then you have a tsunami like happened out, out in the east.
Yeah.
But has there been plate shifting in that area? But
Lots
there's
of
not-
earthquakes in that area. It is a natural fault that runs right through Israel, and you can even read about them in Tanakh. There's reports of earthquakes. Sometimes they will say that something happened 10 years after the great earthquake. So it is on a fault line. I don't think tsunamis have happened because the Mediterranean is sheltered enough, but there are definitely earthquakes there, for sure.
So when is it Elijah? God speaks to Elijah and says, even in the earthquake, wind and fire, the still small voice, and that's all
They
because
knew
of
what
the-
earthquakes were. Yep,
Okay.
for sure.
Thank
I think one of the Hebrew words for that is ra'ash, which means noisy thing. Yeah. Anyone else?
Here, I got.
Eleanor. She doesn't need a mic.
Well, yeah.
She has a mic.
I have a mic. The biggest question I'm always asked is, we're way before high holidays, but it's interesting. I'm always asked at the gym, here, anywhere I go, Eleanor, when are we saying Kaddish? Like, when is the last prayer for Yom Kippur? That's the biggest question. Like,
When or what?
I just lost my words. When people come to say Kaddish.
Oh, Yisker.
For Yizkor. I just lost my word, Yizkor. But the prayer for Kaddish is not a prayer for the dead.
No.
Like, it's really not. But there is a draw, and they're always disappointed when I can't tell them exactly when it is. So it's a thing to come to, and I understand it makes them feel more connected to their loss, but the actual prayer itself,
Not about death.
it's not about death.
Okay, I'll say a couple things about it. Number one, how sad that you're talking to people who don't even come for the 3 high holy days, but for an hour.
Yes.
And they're upset when they can't find out exactly when
Yes,
that
they're
hour
upset with
starts, so
me.
they shouldn't have to spend an extra minute here.
Yes. And
So that's sad.
I'm embarrassed that I can't tell them.
Well, you don't have to be embarrassed. You don't have to be embarrassed, because part of what we try to do is to involve people in the whole day. It's why we moved Yisker, which is traditionally in the morning service, to the afternoon. So Reformed Jews would stay for the afternoon. Now, as for it not being about death, I mean, the Yisker service is, but Kaddish comes later in it. Kaddish is what they call a doxology. A doxology is a particular kind of prayer that mentions God's name. I may get this wrong, it's been a long time. God's sovereignty and eternity. Baruch Shem Kevod, the second line of Shema, is a doxology. So is Kaddish, a statement of basic belief. Dox means belief, ology means in words, so words of belief. Like orthodox means straight belief. Ortho, like orthodonture. So originally, Kaddish is a prayer, not a prayer for the dead. That doesn't happen until 1,000 or so years ago. It is a prayer that kind of is a statement of Jewish belief. It's written in Aramaic so that Jews back then could understand it. They didn't speak Hebrew anymore. And there's a bunch of different ones. One is the Chatzi Kaddish, which we do, usually right before Baruch Hu, right? Which separates parts of the rubrics of the service. So in the traditional service, there's one before Shema and its blessings, then there's another one before Tefillah, then there's another one before for Musaf, which we don't do, and then, right? So it's separate. It tells you we're moving into something new. Huh? It's a commercial break. I like that. And then there is the mourner's Kaddish. I'll get back to that in a minute. There's a burial Kaddish that's done just at graves, which we don't usually do because people don't know it. There's the Kaddish de Rabbanan, which is said for your teachers. So it's said at study sessions. It's in our prayer book. We just don't usually do it. And then there's, I do it once a month. Awesome. Oh, very good. Debbie Friedman wrote a great setting of it. And then there's the Kaddish Shalem, the full Kaddish, which in the traditional world is done at the end of the service. The only time we do it at the end of a service is Ne'ilah. That's when we do the Hasidic Kaddish. That's what that is. Now, Mourner's Kaddish became the mourner's prayer during the Crusades, when Jews were being slaughtered like crazy. And the rabbis of that time decided that we would use a moment in the service to acknowledge God's sovereignty when we think about those who've died. So it wasn't always a mourner's prayer. It became one, but you're right. It doesn't talk about death. It's a praise of God, who we thank for the gift of life. All those Yit Gadal, Yit Gadash, those are Hit Pa'al in Aramaic, which are reflexive. So it's kind of like, may God be this, may God be exalted, may God be praised, may God be this, may God be that. That's why it's repetitive for a reason, because that's musical. Even though we don't sing it, it's musical. It's got a rhythm, Yit Gadal, Yit Kadash, Shemei Rabbah, right? So it's easy to remember, even though it's in Aramaic, which most people don't know anymore. So there you go. Good? Is that what you want to know? Okay. Tell your friends to come for afternoon and Ne'ilah. It's not so bad around here. Any others? Those are good questions. Alex. Oh, there you go. Yep.
When basically Jews were speaking Aramaic.
Mm-hmm. When?
Yeah.
In the beginning in the Babylonian exile. So Aramaic and Hebrew are both Semitic languages, right? So part of that same language family that Arabic is part of, that Amharic, which they speak in Ethiopia, is part of, and then all the Canaanite languages that don't exist anymore, right? The Amorite and Moabite and all those peoples we read about in Torah study, they all had Semitic languages that were variants. So Aramaic is the language of Babylonia, and then it spreads throughout their empire, so it becomes the vernacular. So they're already speaking it when we're exiled there. So in 586 BCE, we go there, we have to learn Aramaic because that's what they speak. And you find when the Persians come and take over, they're still speaking Aramaic for official reasons. And so in the book of Ezra, which is about the Second Temple period when King Cyrus sends the Jews back to build the temple, all the official correspondence in that book back and forth is in Aramaic. And the same with the book of Daniel, because Daniel is a Jewish guy who's in the exile who helps to save the Jewish people. So by the time of the Babylonian exile, we're speaking Aramaic, and we keep speaking it, and then Hebrew slowly disappears as the regular language. So that's why the Talmud is in Aramaic, because the rabbis were speaking Aramaic already. And the one we use was written in Babylonia. So that's a good question.
Actually, you answered my next question, which it was why the Talmud is Aramaic. And
that's why, because the Talmud we read most is the Babylonian Talmud. Now that Aramaic, there's lots of dialects of Aramaic. Theirs is called Rabbinic or Talmudic Aramaic, which has its own kind of style. There's Biblical Aramaic, which is what Ezra and Daniel have. There's Syriac, which is a Eastern Christian Aramaic dialect with a slightly different script. There's late Jewish literary Aramaic, which is what My Dream of Mordecai is in, the text that I work on, which is a form of Aramaic that wasn't spoken but just written in the medieval period. And then there's still Kurds and Eastern Christian Syrians and Turks who still speak Aramaic dialects. So, okay.
Another question
Yeah.
is...
One more.
One more, okay.
Okay.
So when we talk about the first day of the 7 months, so it literally says the first day of the 7 months.
Right.
So it's not
Rosh
the first
Hashanah.
month, Rosh
Yeah.
Hashanah, right? So my question is, I assume like Nisan has to be the first month.
Nisan
of
is the first month.
First
Hold
month.
on, Adrian.
And why we are not celebrating the
You'll
first
get the
day of
last.
Nisan as the
that's
basically welcoming the spring and then
Yeah.
for the first
Right.
first day of the new year.
Yep. Yeah, no, I lent it to your dad. It's okay. Don't worry. He'll give it back. In fact, you can bring it back to me when we're done. Okay? Okay. So, why is that, are you asking?
Yes.
Okay, so, well, first off, the first month is Nisan. It used to be called Aviv. Will you bring that back to me, Adrian? Thank you. Thank you so much. What a good help. So, Nisan is the first month. It used to be called Aviv, which just means spring now in Hebrew. And most cultures' first month is in the spring. It makes sense. All the things are reborn and all the plants are coming back. It's hard to tell why the Torah says, but you celebrate the new year in the 7th month. We don't really know why, except that it says so. So I'm not sure of the evolution of that, but it does lead to my old friend Stephen Rothman's theory of biblical ages, which you Torah study people know, that the theory is this, that it may well be that our ancestors were counting 2 years for every one that we count, because they had a couple different New Years, right? One in Rosh Hashanah, in Tishrei, one in Nisan. And if you take all the ages in the Torah after Noah, you can't count him because he lived to 900, but from Abraham on and you cut them in half, they all make a lot of sense. Instead of being 99 when he became a dad, he would have been 50. Sarah wouldn't have been 90, she would have been 45, which still would have been miraculous to have a baby back then at 45. Abraham, instead of dying at 187, I think he was, would have been like 90 something. Or 175, sorry. He would have then been, 80 something. Instead of being 80 when the Exodus happened and he led us out of Egypt, Moses would have been 40, which makes more sense. So we don't know why the 7th month, but because of that, my friend came up with this theory. I can't prove it, but it works pretty well. All right. Thank you, everybody. Good questions tonight. Good questions. Baruch Tieh. Let's turn to the middle of page 282 and rise for Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'tekedu l'aliotzer reshit, shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot adamah, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechamonam, v'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim modim, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Page 285. Let the time not be distant, O God, when all shall turn to you in love, when corruption and evil shall give way to integrity and goodness, when superstition shall no longer enslave the mind, nor idolatry blind the eye. O may all created in your image become one in spirit and one in friendship, forever united in your service. Then shall your realm be established on earth, and the word of your prophet fulfilled. Adonai will reign forever and ever. Seated. Page 289. The light of life is a finite flame. Like the Shabbat candles, it is kindled, it burns, it glows. It is radiant with warmth and beauty. But soon it fades, its substance is consumed, and it is no more. In light we see, in light we are seen. The flames dance and our lives are full. But as night follows day, the candle of our life burns down and gutters. There is an end to the flames. We see no more and are no more seen. Yet we do not despair, for we are more than a memory slowly fading into the darkness. With our lives, we give life. Something of us can never die. We move in the eternal cycle of darkness and death, of light and life. Mourner's Kaddish is on page 294. This time, our Har Zion family extends its sympathies to our members and their families who have suffered a recent loss. Sharon and Shalom Prasow on the loss of their sister and sister-in-law, Mary Estrin. Heather Riley on the loss of her mother, Debbie Cousins. Tammy and Mark Shendroff on the loss of their mother and mother-in-law, Rhea Copeland. Jody Starkman Mendelson and John David Mendelson on the loss of their aunt, Sandy Starkman. And we remember those whose yahrzeits we observe this week. Benjamin Angel, David Burgart, Nathan Brenner, Deborah Brick, Harry Canton, Ruth Constam, Shirley Cohen, Betty Fishlovich, Trudy Garrow, Gerald Gold, Renee Goodis, Molly Gordon, Bert Halprin, Nathan Harris, Albert Humphreys, Marcel Jacobson, Estera Korn-Orlowski, Edith Krakauer, Alan LaSalle, Barbara Magerman, Abraham Rosenman, Katie Rosen, Murray Scheinert, Harold Simons, Benjamin Super, and Abraham Weinstock. And as we do each Shabbat, we remember some of the Jews of our adopted town of Michle, Czech Republic, who perished in the Shoah. Hermina Erdelyova, Laura Fontlova, Bedrich Fischel, Max Fischer, Irma Fischerova, and Marie Fleischlova. If anyone has a name to share for Kaddish that I did not, please share their name with us now. We ask those observing Shiva, Shloshim, Avelut, the year of mourning, or Yartzeit, to please rise. We ask the congregation to rise and join the mourners in love and support. We think too at this time of those members of our armed forces who have died fighting overseas, our brothers and sisters in Eretz Yisrael who have died in so many wars and attacks, and all the innocent people of this world who have lost their lives to violence, conflict, hatred, the chaos of nature, or neglect, as together we pray. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divarach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon, u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shemei rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudesha briachu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Osei shalom bimromav, hu ya'asei shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And together we say, Amen. Please be seated. At Temple Har Zion, we acknowledge that we are situated on traditional territories and treaty lands. The territories include the Wendat, Anishinaabeg Nation, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nations, and the Métis Nation. As Jews and as a community, may we always strive to fulfill our Jewish value of tzedek tirdof, the pursuit of justice in our society. I'd like now to call upon Mike Mortimer, a member of our board of directors, who has some greetings and announcements.
On behalf of your board of directors, Shabbat Shalom. Alex, just one more minute. Don't leave yet. I have an announcement for Adrian. Just for a minute, I promise. I'm sorry, we'll try that again. On behalf of your board of directors, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Okay, I'll be quick, Alex, I promise. The new rule is that because there's so many programs, that we're only allowed to highlight one. So I'm going to break the rule tonight and highlight two. just for Adrian. So for the very first time, next week, mark your calendar, Alex, Saturday, April 5th at 3:30, not 4 o'clock like the bulletin said, and not Sunday. It's Saturday, April 5th at 3:30 before dinner. Haroset and Chocolate, a sweet family Passover experience. And that's when Marnie Birnbaum, who specializes in cooking for kids, is going to have a special pre-Passover program where the kids and hopefully an adult with the kids will learn how to make chocolate-covered matzah, chocolate haroset, and there'll even be games and arts and crafts. So it's a new program, ages 4 to 10, and we hope to see you. At Temple Har Zion, we're proud of our diverse backgrounds and cultural traditions, while holding fast to our shared Jewish values. We embrace the importance of inclusivity, diversity, and multiculturalism. Now, we do have a lot of events for all ages. You can check out the weekly e-blast, the website, the QR code in the lobby. They're all great ways to stay updated. And here's the announcement I was supposed to make. So believe it or not, it's only 2 weeks until Pesach. And on day 6 of Pesach, Saturday, April 18th, and this is a facsimile, I took that from this week's e-blast. So April 18th, 6 o'clock, will be the Community Pesach Shabbat dinner. It's also a night for Kolbo Shabbat.
Friday night.
What did I say? Saturday? Oh, sorry. It's Friday night. Yeah, and it says Friday right here. So it's always really fun. The 2 Seders will have been already happening, but there will be different Seder things woven throughout the night and all sorts of wonderful songs and the 4 questions. And it's catered by Har Zion's very own chef on the go. And there's meat dishes, there's vegetarian and vegan, and gluten-free. So it's a really good time. And if you've never been, this is a great time to try it out. On another note, for the past 17 months, Israel's held an even bigger space in our hearts. We continue to fundraise to support our brothers and sisters in Israel. There's a dedicated web page on our website with all the different ways that we can all support Israel. There's also all sorts of donation options to support our synagogue as well. Welcome to our visitors, probably live streaming tonight. If you're interested in learning more or have any questions, certainly go to info@harzion.ca. And if anybody here tonight has any questions, although, Rabbi, you covered it quite well tonight. Certainly you can see Rabbi Weiss, Cantor Littman, or me. I'm almost done. At the end of the service, please place your prayer book under the chair, either in front of you or behind you, wherever you got it from. And finally, thank you for being part of our community. It's where you belong.
Thank you, Mike. I'm just going to add, tomorrow morning, our Torah study is going to be a preview of the brand new, well, it's not new yet, it will be, Reformed Torah commentary. We got 1 portion's worth of it this week at CCAR conference, so I brought it home. You can't take it home with you because it's not done, it's not copied, you can't share it, but we're going to study from it tomorrow morning and you'll get a little preview of what's to come. And I will also just say this. As anxious as all of us Canadians are, when you spend the week with 400 American Reform rabbis, I was happy to come home. And they are just
Beyond.
what they're dealing with. We should all wish them strength. Okay. Thank you, Rico and Noah. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight. If it's really, we don't know what, are we supposed to have ice tomorrow? Okay,
Yeah.
so please, if you're worried about driving, don't. Okay, if we're gonna, we haven't, we're not canceling anything yet, but if we do, look for an email in the morning, I guess. I don't know how else we'll
I don't
do
know
it,
how
but
to do it.
Let me know.
don't get hurt. I'll let you know, don't worry.
Thanks.
And we conclude this evening on page 327 as we sing Ein Keloheinu in Hebrew and Ladino.
Ein Keloheinu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kemalkeinu, Ein Kemoshienu, non como vuestro Dios, non como vuestro Señor, non como vuestro Rey, non como vuestro Salvador. Mi Eloheinu, mi Adonenu, mi Malkeinu, mi Moshienu, ¿quién como vuestro Dios? ¿Quién como vuestro Señor? ¿Quién como vuestro Rey? ¿Quién como vuestro Salvador? No del Eloheinu, no del Adonenu, no del Malkeinu, no del Moshienu. Loremos nuestro Señor, loremos nuestro Señor, loremos nuestro Rey, loremos nuestro Salvador. Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu. Bendito nuestro Dios, bendito nuestro Señor, bendito nuestro Rey, bendito nuestro Salvador. Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu. Tú somos nuestro Dios, tú somos nuestro Señor, tú somos nuestro Rey, tú somos nuestro Salvador.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.